Thank you for joining NMH at 1, where we take a look at the news making headlines in the land of the brave and beyond, ranging from current affairs to community stories, sports and economic news. In the news today, NSFAF guns for MPs. 23.7 million Namibian dollars refuse remove tender set aside. Westnest Lodge main building burns down. I am Ashwin Berry and this is NMH at 1. The frantic international search for the missing tourist submersible entered a more desperate phase today as rescuers feared the oxygen supply on the vessel may be entering its final minutes. The search for Titan, which went missing on Sunday after embarking on a mission to survey the wreckage of the Titanic, has been focused on an area where Canadian aircraft detected underwater noises Tuesday and again on Wednesday. Coast Guard officials estimated the 5 passengers could run out of air just before 10 minutes past 1 p.m. today, but the location of the missing vessel and the exact situation on board remained a mystery even as the search intensified, with new ships joining the race against time. Remember to engage with these stories on our social media throughout the broadcast. Visual news comes up after the break.
To another exciting episode of Ironwood Talk. We bring jou lees die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis julle monster gaan byt.
Karo Namibia Managing Director Colette Rekert shares her vision for Walvish Bay Gymnasium during the groundbreaking ceremony for the school yesterday. Otis Daniels was there.
You are here to see a wonderful new chapter in the history of education in Namibia unfolding. 20 years ago, the Lord laid the foundation for an institution and a group of institutions to change the landscape of education in Namibia, and to do so with a firm foundation of a Christian belief and a Christian foundation for learners to know how special they are, to know that they matter, to know that we deeply care about them as individuals and about their optimal growth so that they can develop into the most beautiful citizens and the most beautiful adults to be leaders in our nation in the future and really impact us. We Namibians are so well known for their love and for their warm-heartedness. I think that is what we have to set forth through our youth, that they know this is a country where we love one another and where we care about one another. These new buildings are the physical embodiment of our unwavering commitment to education and the pursuit of excellence. It's a momentous occasion as we mark the beginning of a transformative journey for our school. These buildings, meticulously designed and constructed, will serve as the cradle of knowledge, innovation and holistic development for generations to come. In an era where education is evolving rapidly, we have chosen to embrace a holistic approach to learning. Our aim is to nurture young minds, not only in academic brilliance, but also in character, resilience, creativity, and kindness. We firmly believe that education must go beyond the confines of textbooks and the confines of classrooms. Our holistic approach encompasses the intellectual, emotional, social, and physical development of each student. Walvish Bay Gymnasium, together with its sister schools, Windhoek Gymnasium and Oshana Gymnasium, of which we did the groundbreaking yesterday, is so much more than just another school. It's a place where we care deeply about every child's optimal growth and development of his and or her character. We do so by maintaining high academic standards, providing a strong Christian foundation to equip our learners to stand strong in an uncertain world, and to give the optimal training and opportunities in sport and culture activities.
The Namibia Statistics Agency will conduct the population and housing census, making use of privately owned 4x4 double cabs and SUVs from residents in their respective constituencies. Now, Glenora Shipura spoke to Julius Namolo, the Administration and Logistics Manager at the agency.
Now, I understand that this year, or this time around, there's different methods that the NSA is using to obtain the data needed. I understand that there's going to be use of transport services in which the agency will be making use of privately owned 4x4 double cab and SUV vehicles for the census. Can you please update us on this process?
Yes, the NSA have taken a deliberate decision to source the transportation services, not vehicle or rental services, but transportation services. What does that mean? It means that we are not going to, as an agency, we are not going to rent vehicles, but we are going to rent transportation services. And we are deliberately sourcing these vehicles from the private citizens. Those who have vehicles that meet our specification, we are going to source those ones. And also interestingly is that the vehicles will be sourced directly from the constituencies, where the census is going to take place, or the field activities is going to take place. So why are we doing this? There are a number of reasons. And we are informed by the previous experience that we have. For example, in 2011, we as a country, we have to source some of these vehicles from the neighboring South Africa. And because of the quantity of vehicles that are normally required for this undertaking of this magnitude. And therefore, because we need the number is quite huge, we are of the view that not necessarily all the companies in the country have the number of vehicles that we are looking for. So therefore, to source these vehicles, you either source from the public, from individuals, or you source them from outside the country, or from the neighboring countries, particularly South Africa. Considering the economic situation in the country that is facing our people, we have the view that we want to split the cake also within our communities, and then our people also participate in this national undertaking and also get some benefit out of it.
Definitely. So if I happen to own a 4x4 bakkie, I can register and I send, I can take part in the census in that way. Can you tell us a little bit about the registration process?
Yeah, it's just a point of correction there, or clarity. It's not just any 4x4.
Oh.
It should be a 4x4 double cab.
A 4x4
double cab? All SOV double cab.
Okay.
I mean, it's SOV 4x4.
Oh,
so
okay,
it must be a 4x4.
Okay, I understand.
You can have a 4x4,
so
but
a 4x4 double cab or a
Yes.
SUV double cab.
Yes.
Got that.
The APP has failed to repay its president's loan. An update on this story follows in the newspaper review segment.
The Agenda is a weekly national affairs interview program hosted every Sunday by Namibian Sun editor Toivon Jabela, featuring a panel of high-profile newsmakers, analysts, and experts. The Agenda aims to reach high-end news consumers seeking informed understanding of national issues. This show is broadcasted on NTV, oneup2.com, and the Namibia Media Holdings Facebook platform. The agenda focuses on interviews where we put the nation in the hot seat. Contact Agenda at synergy.com.na to get your product and service in the hot seat. The Agenda, focused on today's conversation.
Let's get into the newspaper review. Namibian Sun reports that for the past 3 years, the All People's Party has owed a company partly owned by its acting president Erastus Shumba and his siblings over 300,000 Namibian dollars. The money was used to partly fund the party's 2019 elective congress, as well as that year's presidential and National Assembly election campaigns. The non-payment comes despite receiving over 1 million Namibian dollars per year from the government since 2020, after having secured 2 seats in the National Assembly. On page 3 of the Namibian Sun, the Health Ministry revealed that the country has made great strides in combating early HIV and AIDS detection in newborns of mothers with HIV. Executive Director Ben Nangombe said intervention started in 2002 through the Prevention of Mother-to-Child Transmission Program and was funded mostly by the United States President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief. He added that PEPFAR's support has helped to rapidly scale up these services, including early infant diagnosis of HIV and AIDS among exposed mothers through training of healthcare workers and procurement. PEPFAR has also supported capacity building and community-based interventions. Republican reports that the main building of the well-known West Nest Lodge near Gobabis burned down 2 nights ago. The origin and cause of the fire are still unknown. According to the lodge's Facebook page, operations will continue as normal. Owner Avi van de Vesthuizen said that while they are still at a loss for words, they are grateful that their team and animals are safe and the rest of the property unscathed. Also in Republican, a Namibian delegation is currently in Angola following an invitation by the country's Minister of Mineral Resources, Dr. Diamantino Azevedo, which he directed the government during his visit to Namibia in April. The delegation, led by Deputy Minister of Mines and Energy Cornelia Shilunga, will be in the neighboring country until the 27th of June. The Agomana Zeitung runs with Savannah Beef Processors Limited, aiming to achieve 100% producer share ownership. To this end, the Beef Value Chain Forum, which is affiliated with the company, also wants to improve the marketing of Namibian beef and cooperate with Meatco. The forum has adopted new measures in recent weeks. Accordingly, Savannah wants to recruit more shareholders to reach a share capital of 200 million Namibian dollars. On page 3, the AZ reports on LPM MP Henny Sebeb asking the Minister of Finance why the PayPal online system does not work in Namibia and whether the hurdles will eventually be removed. He said that there is no set of rules on the part of the Bank of Namibia that allows Namibians to transfer money from a PayPal invoice to a local bank account. Stay with us as we continue with the Namibian in our newspaper review.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouth-watering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Continuing with the newspaper review, the Namibian reports that Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security Minister Albert Kawana says it is police officers' duty to apprehend criminals, not to be criminals. He said the existence of police stations is meaningless if not supported by a sufficient number of officers whose conduct is beyond reproach and who are fully devoted to their careers. He added that such officers must be disciplined, loyal and patriotic and consider their profession as a calling, not just a job opportunity. On page 3, there have been no reports to the Namibian government of the country's expatriates, particularly the Ovaherero, being harassed, stigmatized or criminalized as trespassers and delinquents in the United Kingdom. However, International Relations Minister Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah said the ministry has been made aware of the potential of Namibian asylum seekers facing deportation from the UK. Nandi-Ndaitwah told Parliament last week her ministry has been engaging the British High Commission on the matter, saying they are in the process of negotiating the most amicable process that is in line with Namibian rules and regulations, as well as international instruments on the handling of asylum seekers. On New Era's front page, in its invigorated debt recovery drive, the Namibia Student Financial Assistance Fund has reportedly given 3 parliamentarians an ultimatum to pay up or face legal consequences. Their aggressive stance has resulted in the recovery of at least 25 million Namibian dollars over the last 2 financial years. According to the report, the 3 parliamentarians the NSFAF is after are Popular Democratic Movement's Maximilian Kashimune and Ina Hengari, as well as SWAPO's Patience Masua. On page 3 of the New Era, the review panel of the Procurement Board's decision to stop bidding process midway for a 23.7 million Namibian dollar tender for the removal of household refuse and pumping out septic tanks at government buildings in Kavango East has been set aside by the High Court. On Tuesday, Windhoek High Court Judge Boas Husiku reviewed and set aside the review panel's decision of 11 April 2022. This came after the review panel sought a court's review of its decision that the Central Procurement Board of Namibia must take over the bidding process from the Kavango East Regional Council. And in Market Watch, it's reported that May's annual consumer price inflation in South Africa slowed to 6.3% from 6.8% in April, with food prices finally cooling. May's inflation rate, which was also slowed by an easing in fuel prices, is the lowest since April 2022, Statistics SA said. It was also cooler than economists expected. The median expectation among economists in a Bloomberg survey was 6.5%. The consumer price index increased by 0.2% between April and May. Now, MTN is demanding extraordinary general meeting as face-off with tower company IHS lingers. More on this in Economic News.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Africa's largest mobile operator, MTN, has called for an extraordinary shareholders meeting of New York-listed IHS Towers as it battles the group's board over voting rights. MTN holds 26% of IHS, which was founded in Nigeria and operates nearly 40,000 towers in Africa, the Middle East and South America, but its voting rights are capped at 20%. According to Bloomberg, MTN, along with French investment company Wendel, which owns 19%, demands that those holding 10% or more of IHS get to nominate board members, but this had been dismissed by IHS. The group said on Tuesday it has been engaging IHS on corporate governance matters, including on its voting rights, but IHS failed to notify shareholders of its proposal or allow them to vote on it at its annual meeting on 7 June. MTN doesn't have a representative on the IHS board, although its former CEO Phuthuma Nhleko is a non-executive director. MTN said on Tuesday it strongly believes that IHS has willfully breached its shareholder agreement by failing to place the proposal on the agenda, notify all other shareholders, and allowing them to vote for it. Let's head into the economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 18.32 next to the US dollar, with 20.16 Namibian dollars getting you €1, and one Chinese yuan costs you 2.55 Namibian dollars. Looking at selected NSX stock closing prices, Capricorn Investment Group and First Rand Namibia made some upticks of 3.40% and 3% respectively. Local index closed up 1.13%, whilst the overall index closed on a downtick of 1.27%. Zimbabwe candidates are struggling to come up with poll fees ahead of the August election. Stay with NMH at 1 for more.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
The deadline for those wishing to register as candidates for Zimbabwe's August general elections has passed, with numbers expected to be lower as smaller opposition parties struggled to raise the money required. The registration fee for presidential candidates was $20,000, 20 times higher than it was in 2018, while those wishing to run for parliament had to stump up $1,000. To put forward candidates for all positions, a party must now have $230,000 at its disposal. President Emmerson Mnangagwa and his main rival Nelson Chamisa were among the handful of presidential candidates putting in their nomination papers at the High Court in the capital, Harare. Others trickled in over the course of the day, a marked contrast to 5 years ago when 23 candidates were on the ballot. Near closing time, one female presidential candidate was still canvassing for overseas donations to pay for her nomination. Another party leader reduced the number of candidates being put forward to leave enough money for campaigns. Opposition parties say the fees are a blow to democracy. A ruling ZANU-PF party representative defended the hike, saying a presidential candidate who failed to raise $20,000 was not fit to lead. The Electoral Commission is expected to confirm the successful candidates by the end of the month. Stay with us as we head over into international news. A former soldier has been sentenced to 55 years in prison for the road rage killing of a Muslim man after witnesses testified he hurled ethnic and religious insults at his victim. Dustin Passarelli was found guilty of murder in May, 4 years after shooting dead 32-year-old Mustafa Ayobi, an Afghan-American, by the side of the road in the northwest of Indianapolis. Passarelli followed Ayobi off the main Interstate 465 and a verbal altercation took place, prosecutors said. Witnesses at the scene said Passarelli made several Islamophobic slurs and yelled, "Go back to your country," at Ayobi before opening fire. The case drew the attention of the FBI and took place as legislators in the state of Indiana were debating new hate crime legislation. The bill was watered down, however, with a bias crimes law passed 6 weeks later that some have argued is ineffectual in hate crimes. Passarelli, who was not charged with a hate crime or in a federal court, told police that he followed Ayobi off the highway to an apartment complex and shot him in self-defense after Ayobi allegedly tried to punch one of his car windows. He also claimed to have PTSD from his time in the army. Stay with us as we start off with football in local sports.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouth-watering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Kunene Region veteran football administrator Bola Nangombe says the results recorded in the Opuwo 3rd Division over the weekend were one of the strangest things he has ever witnessed in the country. This was after Opuwo Young Rangers massacred Epupa Zebra Stars 58-0 in a 3rd Division playoff match in the Kunene region. Namibia's Philippus Ngitumbwa remains disappointed that he lost against three-time division world champion John Rio Casimero. The two fought in a closely contested battle in the Philippines in May for the WBO Global Super Bantamweight title. And karate athlete Suzelle Pronk left Namibia yesterday to represent the country in the karate senior female kata division at the African Beach Games. The competition takes place from 22 to 31 June in Hammamet, Tunisia. Only 2 Namibian athletes are taking part in the African Beach Games. The other Namibian athlete who has qualified for the tournament is Namibia's open water swimmer Philip Siedler, who will be participating in the 5-kilometer open water swim and departs for the Games today. Let's swing over into international sport. Struggling Hertha Berlin faces an uncertain future despite a decision to allow postponed repayment of a high-interest loan which effectively ensured a German FA operating license for next season. England will travel to Japan to play a test match against the Brave Blossoms in June next year, both countries' rugby unions announced earlier today. And Women's World Cup co-hosts Australia are set to play their warm-up match against France in front of a record crowd in Melbourne next month in a boost for organizers of the global showpiece. If you are just joining us, this is NMH at 1, and we'll get into the highlights from today's broadcast after this break.
To another exciting episode of Hier Word Top. We bring jou die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis julle monster kan byt.
Let's get into the highlights. The deadline for those wishing to register as candidates for Zimbabwe's August general elections has now passed, with numbers expected to be lower as smaller opposition parties struggled to raise the money required. A former soldier has been sentenced to 55 years in prison for the road rage killing of a Muslim man after witnesses testified he hurled ethnic and religious insults at his victim. A karate athlete left Namibia yesterday to represent the country in the karate senior female kata division at the African Beach Games. The competition takes place from 22 to 31 June in Hammamet, Tunisia. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa, and the world, ranging from current affairs to economic news, sports, and international headlines. It's goodbye from us in studio.